Yeah, welcome to Point to Point channel. So today I will discuss about Spring Boot REST validation concepts. So how to validate a request payload in the case of post call or a put call, and similarly how to validate path parameters and as well as query parameters, and how to customize the error response basically as per our requirement. Okay, and the difference between @valid and @validated, and okay, and how to handle the group validations. Oh, suppose if I'm interested to handle only some certain part of the fields only, okay, then in that case how to handle. So basically what is a Java Bean validation API versus Hibernate validator. Okay, so I'm going to cover all these concepts. Yeah, without wasting time, let's jump into the coding part. Yeah, so here if you see, so in order to minimize the video length, so just some time before I have created a basic demo project which is required to demonstrate this validation concept. Okay, so however I will walk through the code. Okay, so here so this dependency Spring Boot starter validation dependency is required in this case. Okay, just to handle the validations internally it consists of Hibernate validator. Okay, so this is just a regular starter web dependency. Okay, this is starter data API to interact with the database. Okay, this is starter test to write the test cases. Okay, this is the logbog dependency to write some annotations. Okay, for setter getter methods. Okay, and this is a Spring Boot dev tools. Okay, so whenever we do the code change, no need to start the server. Internally, it will restart the server. Okay, and so this is just a model mapper just to convert the entity to model or model to entity. Okay, and this is just a MySQL driver. Okay, so now I will show you the each class of the code. So here if you see, just I'm creating a new bean for the model mapper. Okay, that's it, in the configuration class. Okay, so that it will create a model mapper bean whenever it is required. So this is a controller. Okay, so here if you see, hardly I'm doing two operations. One is to create a brand new employee record, and a second operation is to fetch employee record. That's it. Okay, so here we have two entity classes. Okay, so this is an employee entity which represents an employee table. So ID, name, email, salary. Okay, each employee is having one address. So here one to one association is there between employee and address is having these fields: ID, house number, street, city, and pin code. Okay, so yeah, so this is a custom exception, employee not found exception. So whenever we try to fetch an employee record, in case if that record is not available in the database, we will try to throw this particular exception. Okay, so here if you see, these are the model classes. Model classes in the sense, I mean, in the controller basically we deal with the model classes, not with the entity classes straight away. Okay, so these model classes are also exactly similar to the entity classes. Okay, so same fields. Okay, here also you see address DTO. Okay, so the same fields we have. Okay, and similarly so this is just a repository to interact with the database, nothing fancy. Okay, so here you see this is the service class. Okay, this one, sorry. So the service class, hardly we have a two methods. Okay, as I said. Okay, this is a implementation. So here nothing, I mean, whenever we try to create a brand new employee record, I'm just converting from what is a model to entity. Okay, and then I'm just saving that entity to the database. So once it is saved successfully, then immediately again I'm converting that entity to model back to the client. Okay, so this is just a conversion logic. Okay, so here I'm just trying to fetch an employee record. In case if that employee record is not available, here I am throwing this employee not found exception. That's it. So this is kind of implementation. So in my previous videos I already discussed, I mean, how to do all the Spring CRUD operations. So if you want to know more about this CRUD operations, please watch those videos prior to watching this video. Okay, so this is this one, and after that you know so this is just a main class in which we have a main method. Okay, this is just application dot properties in which I have a few properties to interact with the database. So database specific properties are there. That's it. So these are all the classes which are part of this particular demo project. Okay, so I have already started a server. So so here if you see, already we have in the database some 6 records. Okay, so so let me try to create one more record. Okay, so one more record here if you see. Uh, so some name I will give. Okay, Mohan. Okay, Mohan. Right. So here you see nothing. I mean, just employee fields and address fields are there. So this is just a post call. This is endpoint. I'm trying to hit. Okay. So let's see what happens. Okay. So here you see seventh record is just created. Okay, successfully seventh record is created. Let's examine the same in the MySQL workbench. I'm just refreshing the employee record. Yeah, here you see seventh record is created successfully with Mohan. Okay, with the name Mohan. Okay, and similarly here in the address field also definitely we have some seven records, right? Yeah. So far it's looking good. Now our main topic of this particular demo is how to handle the validations, right? So how to handle the validations in the sense basically what happens if I pass null to the name? What happens if I pass empty to the null, empty string to the null? Okay, what happens if I pass what you say empty string with some trimmed space? Okay, some what is I mean, if you pass some empty space within the string, what happens? Okay, what happens if you pass invalid email or something like that? So I mean, sometimes I mean, so customer or any end user may pass some invalid data. So in that case, if we don't handle the validation, so that the same data will be straight away saved to the database, which is error prone, right? So we need to handle the validations upfront to avoid such kind of scenarios. So now, okay. Uh, so for example, okay, here. Uh, So here is, for example, this is null. Okay, so if we hit this particular API, okay, straight away it will be saved into the database with null itself. Here, sometime before I just tried. Here you can see in the employee record. I'm just refreshing. Yeah. So here you can see sixth record. Here name is null, right? So why? Because I mean we are not at all preventing any kind of validations, right? I mean we are not handling any kind of validations. Straight away that record is getting dumped into the database with the null name, right? So basically now how to handle? Okay, how to handle the validations? Now the to handle the validations, what we need to do here is okay, just come to the controller. Okay, so here. See this whenever we try to hit a post call, so this is a request body, right? So this is a employee DTO which has all our employee fields, right? So now what we need to do is just we need to add at the rate valid. So this valid, so this is from javax.validation. Okay, so at the rate valid. So after that, okay, after that just go to the employee DTO here. I mean, so we have some bunch of fields which javax.validation is providing. So by default, so it's kind of a specification. So many predefined annotations are there. Okay, so in the market, I mean, so Hibernate Validator is the one and only one who has implemented all JavaX validation API specific annotations. Okay, so uh, I mean, so that's the background of this validation. So here, so I'm just trying to add at the rate not null. Okay, for example, here, so at the rate not null. Okay, in the bracket, so we just need to pass some message, something like this, saying that okay, name cannot be null. Okay, for example, I'm just passing something like this. So yeah, so name cannot be okay two times. Okay, is that okay? It's okay. So then what happens? Okay, we just annotated with the at the rate valid just before at the rate request body, and okay, we just added at the rate not null for one of the field of employee DTO. Okay, so now let's validate the same. Okay, here now I'm passing null, right? Null. Okay, so then is it really handles this particular validation? Let's try now. Okay. Oh, it's restarting the server internally. Why? Because I have added dev tools, right? So it will take a while. Now let me try once again. Okay. Yeah. So here if you see, okay, it is throwing okay status code 400 bad request. Okay, it is fine, and it is throwing some method argument not valid exception, right? Method argument not valid exception, and here if you see, yeah, it is showing name cannot be null. Okay, So that means, okay, Spring internally it is handling that validation and it is showing some response back to the client. But here so this is showing all the stuff. I mean, method augment not validation exception, the stack trace, and here it is showing some lengthy error response, right? So here you can see arguments, everything it is showing. So we don't want this kind of error response, right? We want our own custom error response as per our requirement, right? So then in that case, how to have our own customized error response instead of seeing this particular lengthy response? So right. So for that, what we need to do, okay. So so here, just come here, okay, write one more class in the model package, okay, saying that some error response, okay, error response. Okay, so here, um, so whatever fields you are expecting in, as part of that response, just include those fields. Okay, I'm just annotating with Lombok annotations at the rate data. Okay, and at the rate all logs constructor. Okay, so for good. Uh, yeah. So after that, the fields what I am interested here is the first field, timestamp. Okay, local date time, timestamp, timestamp. Okay, second field, what I'm interested here is HTTP status. Yeah, status. Okay, third field, for example, path. Okay, and the fourth field, list of errors, list of errors. Yeah, so that's it. These are the four fields which I'm interested to see as part of the response. Okay, now I will just customize this local date time also as per my requirement. For example, JSON format. Okay, so here what I do, okay, so shape equal to, okay, JSON format. Okay, dot, okay, shape dot string. Okay, next pattern. Okay, so dd okay, um yy, okay, was minutes. Okay, yeah. So whenever something went wrong, so it will try to print the error in this particular format. So this is my expectation, right? So then how to inform to Spring? Okay, so like whenever something goes wrong, so just please print the error response, something like this in this my own customized format. Okay. So for that, what we need to do, okay, write one more class. Okay, so for example, global uh, validation handler. Okay, so as I discussed in my previous video, okay, if you write your own custom exceptions, or if you want to handle this kind of bean validations or path parameters or query parameters, so all such type of exceptions will fall into one particular common point, that is nothing but this global exception handler. Okay, so for that, what we need to do, we just need to annotate with at the rate rest controller advice. Okay, so here the second one. Okay, so and what we need to do, okay, so here we have one predefined class here in response entity exception handler. Okay, so here if you see, so basically so Spring is providing this predefined class. So here we have n number of regularly used exceptions are there. Okay, so here you see already we have at the rate exception handler is there, right? So here so many annotations are there. Okay, so for example here we have a method argument not validation exception, right? So that we are interested, right? So here is so method argument. Yeah, so here you see already we have the same exception. Okay, so here yeah, so here you can see already it has that one. So why don't we extend this particular class? So then straight away we'll get a overridden method, right? So for that, so somewhere it would be, yeah, yeah. So yeah, we have got this method. So so far so good. So then what we need to do, okay, so first we need to catch all the errors, right? So then how to catch the errors in the sense, okay, so list of string, uh, string, okay, errors, okay, what we need to do, exception dot, okay, get binding result, okay, dot get field errors, okay, we need to use some java 8 stream operations, okay, stream. Here what we need to do, dot map, okay, so I'm interested only in exception message, so that's why I'm just converting to only dot get default message, okay. So and after that I just want to collect to a list, okay, so now our list is ready. So now we need to just prepare error response, okay, so error response is equal to new error response. Okay, here we have four fields, right? So what is the first field? Timestamp, right? Local date time dot now. Okay, and after that, the second field is status, right? So basically, since what you say, we are overriding this particular method from this particular class. Okay, already it has status. So already it has status. So whenever something goes wrong, so first that exception will go to here, so that exception will fall to this particular line, okay, then from here the flow will come back to this particular method, okay. So that's why we will make use of this particular status also. So that's why here I'm just passing the same status, okay. And after that path is there, right? That path I will get something like this, because I get description of false, okay. And after that list of errors, right? So that errors, okay, already we have got in the previous line, right? So so now what we will do, return new response entity, okay. So here error response, okay, error response comma again status, okay. So again status, so the last line is not required basically, yeah. So yeah, we are good. So yeah, we are good. So you know so definitely now the flow will come here, okay. So I'm not sure whether I have started in debug mode or you know normal mode, but let's try, okay. So so let me hit the same request once again, okay. Okay, it's starting the server internally, it will take a while, so just wait for 1 or 2 seconds. Okay, let me hit once again. Yeah, so here see name is not enough. So now we are able to see customized error response, right? So in my customized error response, I am interested only these fields. Timestamp, here you can see this. This is also pending as per my requirement. Okay, and here state is a happily bad request, and this is the path, this is the endpoint. Okay, and the errors. Okay, and here also you see this is the 400 bad request. See now it's looking nice right now. So so in the same way, now we need to handle few more validations. Okay, so for example here, okay, I will show you some other scenarios. Okay, now at the rate not null also we handled, right? So next, not empty in the sense, okay, what happens if I pass empty? So something like this. Okay, so empty string, nothing is there. Okay, so in that case, so it I mean to say this at the rate not null. Okay, it will not stop that particular field value. It will simply allow. Why? Because it will validate only at the rate not null. Okay, null value. So in order to handle null and as well as empty string, so we need to make use of this one, rate not empty, not empty. So here we need to say empty. Okay. So now if you see here, okay, now it will take a while. Okay, so let me try to hit. Yeah, so here, oh, okay. So that means it has created a new record with empty string. Here you can see with empty string. So why? Because as I said, I mean, it will not stop this particular empty string, right? So I think server has taken a bit more time. So ideally, yeah. See now, name cannot be empty. So uh, so just before server startup itself, I just hit that particular request. Okay. See now, now it's not allowing null and as well as empty string, right? So now what happens if I pass some empty space between this empty string? Okay. So then what happens in the sense? Okay. Uh, so as usual, I mean, if I hit, okay, it will simply create a one more record. It will simply create one more record. Let's see. Yeah, as I said, see, ninth record is created. Okay, with empty string. Why? Because see, at the rate not the empty is handling only null and as well as empty string. See here, this is not an empty string. You are just having one space, right? So in order to handle this kind of validation, again, what we need to do, we need to use not blank instead of empty. Okay, not blank. Okay, so here you need to say cannot be blank. Okay, so what internally does not blank, so it will cross check three scenarios. It should not be null and it should not be empty string and it should not be a string which is having empty space. Okay, so it will handle all these three scenarios. Okay, so yeah, so let's try to verify the same. I think it will take a while. Yeah, so here you can see now it is stopping, right? So this is the difference between at the rate not null and not empty and not blank. Okay. So far so good. Okay. So here I'm understanding few more at the rate email, few more annotations. Okay. So here message. Okay. Email is not valid. Okay, so email is not valid, and similarly here okay, I will write a few more annotations. Okay, to handle the salary, what we need to do at the rate I will use something like this at the rate min. Okay, so for example message equal to, okay, salary, okay, uh, must be minimum 40K. Okay, so value equal to, okay, value equal to, okay, not a string. Okay, 40,000, we need to pass 40,000. So in case if we try to pass 40,000, okay, for example 35,000, it will throw this exception. Why? Because it is expecting minimum 40K. Okay, so this is minimum. Okay, so let's cross verify till here. Okay, so yeah, it will take a while to start the server. Yeah, so it's restarting the server internally. So let's wait for 1 or 2 more seconds. Yeah, so here you see name cannot be blank. Why? Because you're passing a valid data, right? So let me pass some invalid data. Okay. So here, so I'm just moving, sorry. Yeah, at the rate. Okay. And similarly, salary, I will pass 25,000. Okay. So now let me hit once again. Yeah, so here you can see it's handling all the three fields, right? See, name cannot be blank. Okay, email is not valid. Okay, salary must be at least 40K. Yeah, so all are working fine. So now, okay, now address GTY is there. So here also I will handle something like this for the string. Okay, so for example, I will say not blank. Okay, uh, message is equal to house number. House number cannot be blank. Okay, something like this. Okay, so now now cannot be blank. Okay, so here let me pass some invalid data. Okay, so I'm just passing some you know string with empty space. Okay, so then what happens? Ideally, it should not allow, right? So so here you see, So it's not working. So that means, I mean, house number of address bean is not validating, right? Why it is not validating in the sense? Okay, so here, um, yeah. So in order to make it work, what we need to do, we need to add at the rate valid over here. Okay, so that means not, I mean, we are just informing to the Spring framework. Okay, so earlier, in the controller, we have already added at the rate valid for this employee DTO. Okay, now, hey Spring, so please take care of validations not only for the employee DTO and as well as address DTO also. So that's why we need to include at the rate valid on top of address DTO. Okay, so now it will take care of all validations, even to the address DTO fields. Okay, so now let's cross verify the same. So here, uh, yeah, okay, so hopefully it's not restarted or we haven't saved. Okay, um, let me hit once again. Yeah, so here you see house number cannot be blank. Yeah, so it's working fine, right? So I mean, so server is taking a bit time to restart. That's it. Okay, so now so far so good. So similarly, I'm just adding to the street field. Okay, street cannot be blank or something like this. Okay, street cannot be blank. Okay, so that is fine. Now city. So for city, I will use something size annotation. So here, I will pass, some max constraint. Okay, maximum only 8 characters should be there, and message is something like this: city name must be uh, must have, okay, only uh, must have only, no, sorry, must not have um, more than more than more than this max characters. Okay, max something like this, max characters. Okay, yeah, so yeah, so far it is looking good. Okay, I have just added. Okay, now let's even validate these fields also. Okay, so here the street is there, right? Okay, street. Okay, so here, okay, I'm also passing a string with empty space even for street, and so for city, I'm just giving Hyderabad, which is having 9 characters. Okay, so now I hope, I mean, server has been restarted. Okay, internally. So let's see. So yeah, so here you can see city name must not have more than 8 characters. So it has validated even street, everything is working fine, right? So so far it is looking good. Okay, so now okay, how to write a custom validation kind of thing. Custom validation in the sense, see, for example, this pin code is there. Okay, so for this pin code, let's assume I'm having a requirement. Okay, so I should pass pin codes. Let's assume only some 500070 or 500090. Only for these two pin codes areas only. I need to allow a request to create a record into the database. Okay, so for that, how to write? Okay, some such kind of customized, specific requirements. Okay, so for that, what we need to do? Okay, so we need to write, okay, some our own custom annotation. So here, for example, I will write pin code validation. Okay, so this is my custom annotation, like how we are writing not bank size. These are all annotations, right? Predefined annotations. So this is a custom annotations which I am going to write shortly. So obviously this is annotation, so that's why I annotated with at the rate. Okay. Now how to create? How to create? So this is the question. So now see, we have some validation package, right? So in this one, what I do, I will create a brand new class. Okay. So here, uh, pin code validation. Okay. Pin code validation, something like this. Okay. So now how to write? So before writing, let's examine how JavaX validation annotations are looking like. So we will write in a similar lines, right? So here, what we need to do, okay, uh, not blank something. If you see here, okay, um, So for example, yeah. So for example, if you see, so this is we are having some at the rate interface. So just to represent, this is a annotation, okay. And we are having these three predefined methods, okay, in this particular interface, okay. So for that, what we need to do, okay, go to pin code validation, okay. So just copy paste this one, okay. Here just customize our own error response, okay. Here, so java x dot validation, right? So I will write so something like this: pin code should be, okay, either, okay, 500070 or 500090, something like that. So this is my requirement, okay. uh okay, so here, okay, I'm just removing this, okay. um okay, so this is a so why it is showing some, so what is saying, so let's add a few annotations. So let's see after that, I mean, whether we have error or not. So here, we need these annotations also. So for example, if we come here, okay, so here you see, uh, yeah, so why it is showing in the sense, so this is not a class, right, basically. So that's why it is showing this error. So now, see, errors are gone. Okay, so what is there? We will see one by one. Documented. So this is kind of a for documentation purpose. Okay, constraint validated by. So that means, so basically this particular interface represents a annotation. Okay, so and this is the, if something goes wrong, we are printing this particular error message. But where we are doing the actual validation, so that validation we will do in some other class. So that class we need to pass something here. Okay, so that is the meaning. And target. So target in the sense, okay, so this particular annotation works on method level and field level. Okay, I'm interested only method and level and field level. So that's why I'm just removing all these things. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with this method level and field level. Okay, and retention is obviously this will work during the runtime. Okay, so basically, so this represents a default error, default error group. So that is a, so these are the groups. So this comes to the default group. Okay, so that's the thing. So now, okay, I will try to pass pin code validator. Okay, something like this: pin code validator dot class. Okay, but we don't have this class, right? Pin code validator. So let's create that particular class also. So in the same package, okay, come here. Okay, so here the pin code validator, yeah. So we have a class, right? But how to write code in this particular class again? So let's examine the same not blank stuff. Okay, not blank. So here, so let's examine. So here you see, we have some predefined not blank validator. What we are doing, implements constraint validator, right? So let's copy the code. Okay, let's copy the code. Okay, so here, so pin code validator. Okay, pin code validator, where is this? Yeah, so pin code validator, yeah. So here, I'm just copy pasting, that's it. Okay, so here if you see, so what is the data type of our field? Obviously this is pin code, right? Integer, right? So integer. Okay, integer. Okay, so this is integer, and I'm just modifying this one. Okay, so why it is showing issue in the sense, okay, it is saying, okay, control I, okay, I'm saying, okay, so here if you see, um, since I have modified the data type from char sequence to integer, okay, so that's why, it has created a overridden method with integer type. Okay, so with integer type, so basically, oh sorry, this is integer capital, right? Okay, integer. Okay, and similarly here, if you see here, this is also integer. I will change to pin code. Okay, some relevant name. Okay, so here, what is this? So this represents this one, right? Pin code validation, right? Yeah. Why? Because see, this logic, whatever we are going to write for which annotation. So this annotation, right? Pin code validation. So this is the annotation, right? So the same thing I'm just passing here. Okay, pin code validation. So far it is looking good. Okay, I'm just removing this old one. Okay, whatever is there. Okay, so okay, so here uh, so constraint validation. Okay, um, yeah, override. So override in the sense, okay, I think we haven't overwritten. So I just modified integer to integer, right? So let's again override properly. Yeah, so this time there is no error. Okay, so now what I will do here, I will say pin code okay, equal to 50070 or no 5000 pin code, okay, equal to 50090. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, we have written the validation, so custom validation. So in case if I pass other than these two values, it will throw the validation. Okay, so I think a server will take a while to restart. Okay, so here yeah, so we added a custom validation, so let's examine the same. So here if you come here, okay, I'm just passing some 50020. Okay, so 50020. Okay, let's try to hit. Oh, okay. So here you see where is pin code here. So here you can see pin code should be either 5007090. So that means our custom validation is working fine. Okay. So far we just discussed, I mean, how to handle the validations, bean validations. Okay, and how to write our own custom validation. Okay, and we also discussed how to customize the error response as per our requirement. Right. So now we will discuss about at the rate validated. Validated in the sense it will come into picture in the case of validating query parameters and path parameters, right? So here, so for example, we have one get API, right? So here I'm just passing ID, right? So for example, I will say at the rate min of, for example, I will say 3. So that means so minimum 3 I'm expecting. I mean to say, for example, if I try to fetch a record of ID 1 or 2, then it will stop here itself. Okay, so for that, what we need to do, we need to annotate with at the rate validated. Okay, we need to something like this. At the rate validated will come into picture. So just we need to annotate on top of the class, and here you need to straight away write at the rate min or whatever validation you are trying to handle. Okay, so now so now if you see, okay, I'm sorry. So here I'm just changing from post get. Okay, so here I'm just passing for example minimum 3, right? I will try to pass 2. Okay, so then of course we have a record in the database, but I mean uh, I just annotated something like that, right? At the rate min of 3. So then here what's happening, you see it's throwing a different exception, constraint violation exception. So till now we have handled method argument not validation exception. So now it is throwing one more exception, constraint violation exception and internal server error and 500 status code. Okay, so here it is saying, okay, this I mean okay, it is handling the exception, this fetch employee must be greater than this id value as equal to 3. Okay, greater than or equal to 3. So that means again we need to customize this in a proper way as per our requirement, right? So again, how to do in the sense, okay, here you see the same thing, how we handled in the case of method argument not valid exception. So in the same way what we need to do is go to global handler. Okay, so now we don't have a predefined method in the response entity exception handler. So for that, what we need to do, okay, I'm just copy pasting just to save the time. Okay, so here, come here. Okay, so I'm just changing the name to handle constraint violation, something like this, constraint violation. Okay, so here we just need to change constraint, okay, violation exception. Okay, something like this. Okay, I'm not interested to have headers. Okay, I'm interested to have only exception and request. Okay, and we need to add at the rate exception handler. exception handler, something like this. So here it is not required. Why? Because here we are making use of a overridden method from response entity exception handler. So here, so this is our own custom method, right? So that's why we need to add at the exception handler. So constraint violation exception dot class. Okay, class. Okay, so yeah. So here, of course, this whole logic is not required. Okay, so here so this is status anyhow. We need to write our own status. So for example, http status dot. So for example, I am interested in a bad request. So bad request, where is bad request? Uh, Bad request, http status dot bad request. Yes, bad request. And here errors, right? I will write arrays dot as the why, because this is list, right? So ex dot get message. Okay, so only one message is there. So here again, what I will write, http status dot bad request, right? Yeah, so far it is looking good. So nothing, I mean, so whenever Spring Framework throws the constraint violation exception, immediately flow will redirect to this particular method and it will prepare error response as per our customized format, right? So let's examine the same. Okay, I'm not sure server is restarted or not. Yeah, let's see. Oh, hopefully it's not restarted yet. Okay, let's wait for 2 more seconds. Yeah, so here you can see now it is looking in a nice format, right? See, timestamp, everything. So it is showing our customized error response. So this is the way to handle constraint violation exception, to handle path parameters and as well as query parameters. So far it is looking good. So what are the other uses of validated? So that also we'll see just now. I mean, so here you see this is a controller, right? So controller. Okay, so now let's come to this employee DTO. So for example, okay, just to give a high level idea. So for example, name is there, right? So name is there. So what I will do, I will create one group here. So I will create some group, okay, some dummy group, okay. Here what I do, okay. So this is interface, okay. So I will say group one, okay. So group one, that's it. Nothing, no code is there. Just to categorize the different fields with the different groups. I just created one a dummy group. Okay. Now come here, okay, employee DTO. So what I will do, okay. So here I will pass one more attribute saying that, okay. So here groups, see groups, okay. Group one dot class. That's it. Okay, groups is equal to group one dot class. Nothing. So in the group one dot class, nothing. We don't have anything. But what does it mean? So this particular name field belongs to this particular group, right? So now come to controller. Okay, so now in the same post calls, for example, okay, if I pass, okay, instead of valid, what I will do, I will pass validated. Okay, validated. So validated, we need to pass the group also, right? So here group under class. So that means, what does it mean? Okay, so whenever we try to hit a post call, okay, since we have at that validated group one dot class, so it is going to validate all the fields which are part of this group one dot class, right? So that's the beauty of at that validated. Okay, so now okay, now so now if we try to hit once again, see, now I'm passing these many invalid fields. So here, ideally it should give only one field. See, oh, sorry, this is a get call, right? Sorry. So here, let me change post call. Okay. So here I'm just changing. Okay. So now here you see, it is showing only one thing, right? Name cannot be blank. See, whereas I'm passing so many invalid fields. Why? See, why? Because in our post call, instead of @valid, now I just change it to @validated. I'm just passing this group one dot class. Now, if you come here, only one field is part of this group one dot class. So that's why it is validating only this particular field. It is simply ignoring all the other fields. Okay. So like this, you need to handle the group validation. So for example, if you have one more group, group two, and if you pass to this particular salary field, right? So now if you pass group two, then it will validate only group two, only salary field. So something like that. Okay. So okay. So for example, I want to validate all the other fields, all the rest of the fields, except this name field. Then what I need to do? What you need to do here is okay. So sorry, come. You need to come here. Instead of passing group one, we need to pass default group. Default group. So this default group is this one. Okay. Uh, yeah. So default group. So I have shown you right in the pin code validation also. So default groups are there. So somewhere I have shown you right. So okay, one second I will show you pin code validation. So here you see these are the groups are there right. So this is the default group. Okay. So this is that one. Okay. Now come here. Okay, in the controller. Okay. So yeah, yeah. Let's see. Let's examine now. Okay. So okay. So I'm not sure. So server is restarted or not. I hope it is still restarting. Okay, so here I think it's this is not the right class. That's what I feel. Okay, so let me pass default dot class. Oh, this one we need to pass Java X dot validation dot groups. Oh, sorry. Let me my charger. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so default dot class, right? Default. So here uh, default. So this default is this one Java X dot validation dot groups. So this one, yeah. So now we have added a right default group. Okay. So now what happens? It should validate all the other fields except this name, right? So definitely it will take a while to restart, but so yeah, here you see here we don't have a name field, right? See, it has validated all the other fields, right? See why? Because you are passing default group, right? See here there is no name field. So this is the another use of at the rate validated. So here you can see. So we just discussed two uses. So one, the first use is we can validate path parameters and as well as query parameters with the help of at the rate validated. And the second use is, if at all we want to validate only some part of the some part of the bean fields, okay, then just we need to divide those fields into some particular groups, and that particular group we need to pass something like this here. Okay, so yeah, so I guess we have handled all type of scenarios which are related to validation. So now just uh, so just we'll summarize all the learned concepts. So here so this is at the rate valid. This can be used at the field level or method parameter level. So we have annotated in the within the bean and as well as at the method parameter level also. Okay, so basically at the rate valid in the sense it will validate all the fields of the bean. Okay, so in case if a bean is having again one more inner bean, so even to validate those fields also again we need to annotate at that valid even to that inner bean. Okay, so this Java X dot validation constraints in the sense as I said, so Java is having this specification Java X dot validation specification which has only annotations. So here not null, not empty, not blank. So basically as I said, null in the sense it will validate only null values. So not only to strings, map, array, collection and strings as well as, okay, but it will allow empty values. It will validate only null values. Now coming to not empty, it will validate null and as well as empty. So here also collection, map, array and string. Okay, so now not blank in the sense it will validate only string. So basically it will not allow null and as well as empty string and as well as the string with empty space. Okay, now size in the sense it will cross check the size of the string. So with some boundaries, okay, whatever value you pass. Okay, so this works only for string. This is important point. And at the rate email in the sense, so basically if you pass invalid email, just to handle that one. Okay, now we have few more predefined annotations at the digits. So basically in the case of big decimal values, you want to do some validations which has fractions. So then in that case we'll use the digits. So similarly min, max, these are self-explanatory. Negative and positive and pattern. So any regular expression, you if you want to pass, then you can use that rate pattern, right? So now, as I said, Hibernate validator has given the implementation to all these validations. And Hibernate validator, they have given their own annotations also. Okay, so here see, so these are the new annotations which are given by Hibernate validator. So for example, at that credit card number, similarly currency, ISBN, length in the sense, this is similar to size field, but this is for you know um, um, you know so for strings and even integers also it will validate, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so similarly at the rate range, okay, and at the rate unique element. So these are all the new annotations which are introduced by Hibernate validator. And similarly at the rate URL and at the rate UUID. Okay, exceptions in the sense, yeah, whenever you pass invalid data to the bean fields, okay, or your payload, so then internally it will throw method argument not validation, not valid exception. So basically we need to handle this exception in the global exception handler to have our own customized error response, right? So similarly, to handle the path parameters and query parameters, internally Spring framework will throw constraint violation exception. So again, we need to handle the same exception in the global exception handler to have our own customized error response. Okay, at the rate validated in the sense, so basically we need to annotate this class with the at the rate validated to validate the path parameters and query parameters of an API that we just discussed sometime before. And similarly, there is one more possibility: need to annotate the method parameter with at the rate validated to validate the partial fields of a bean by combining them into the different groups. Okay, so this is what we have discussed. Okay, so I hope, I mean, I have covered all the validation scenarios of a Spring Boot REST. Okay, so if you really like my video, okay, please like and share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.